Before everything fell apart, I was rising. I had just completed my MBA and I was actively pursuing my PhD. My life had direction. It had structure. It had some momentum. I knew where I was going, or at least I thought I did. But then suddenly, my body began to shut down. It was not gradual. It was not predictable, but it happened in a way that forced my entire life to stop. Today's episode is special. It is about giving God glory. It is about returning the praise to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It is my testimony of how God pulled me out of the rut and sent me on a mission. You know how God says that He pulls you out of the miry clay and places you on solid rock. That is the kind of story. The possibilities of what God can do. Let me just take you to that story. 7 years is how long I lived at rock bottom. And when I say rock bottom, I mean it. In those 7 years, I lost my health. I lost my income. I lost my progress. I lost momentum. Everything that I had built disappeared. But my life did not end at rock bottom. God began rewriting my story when I was there, and I did not know it. In fact, in this episode, I'm just going to give you a preview of maybe the last 4 years. It will paint a picture of what God did in my life. Lean on. So 2021, I was at my very lowest. I woke up one morning, very weak. I was actually weighing around 34 kgs. My normal weight when I'm healthy is between 60 to 65. But at that time, I had lost weight up to 34 kgs. And I was still losing weight progressively. So I woke up that morning very weak. So I took my breakfast. And shortly after that, I began to throw up. And this went on until I was so weak and I blacked out. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in front of the doctor in hospital. And then I blacked out again. And the next time I knew it, I was in hospital bed. That was 48 hours later. I had been unconscious for that long. And so I was in hospital bed. I could not move my body. I was clad in diapers. I was being changed. I was being fed. And I stuck in that hospital for almost a month. When I had to leave the hospital, it was on a wheelchair. And I was stuck on a wheelchair for almost 6 months. And I began to get better. I started gaining my mobility. I was walking on walker for almost another 4 to 6 months, and then on crutches. And it went on and on until now. In that dark season of my life, life didn't look like progress. There was delay, there was pain, there was stagnation, there was a lot of unanswered questions. Treatment was not working. I was like, God, where are you? Truth be said, when life stands still for that long, you feel abandoned and you feel alone, you feel forsaken. I never knew it at that time, but today I can tell you with a lot of confidence that those 7 years, they were not empty. I learned 7 powerful lessons that I am going to share with you in this episode to encourage you and to give God the glory for what He did. Lean on. The first powerful lesson that I learned is that silence does not mean absence. When God seems silent, it doesn't mean that He is not there with you. That was so powerful for me, because I can tell you, I just shared with you the dark season that I went through, but that was not all. After being on wheelchair for some time, and after beginning to walk on a walker, and then taking on the crutches, you would think that is how I recovered. Shortly after that, I regained my journey on a treatment. And one night, when we were coming home from a doctor's appointment, I had an accident that left my left leg broken, fractured, not once, but twice, in 2 positions. And everybody around me was asking, God, we thought she was through. We thought it was over. I was not talking. I was full of questions. I was asking God, why have you left me? Why am I alone? It was so painful. That returned me back to the wheelchair. And I stayed like that for another almost 6 to 7 months. And during that time, you can imagine what was going on through my mind. But I was slowly meditating upon the goodness of God. And that's how I began to learn. God, you must be doing something. Even though I can't see it with my eyes, even though I can't feel it, I am sure somehow, somewhere, you are still working. And this is how I proved it. During that season, we visited an orthopedic doctor who looked at my documents, all the tests that had been done, and wondered why nobody could see the problem that was eating me up. So she asked for other very different tests from the ones that I had done. So many of them that were costing us a lot of money. We were scared. But she assured us, just take your time, do all these tests, and when you are done, come back with the results. I thank God for brethren. I thank God for neighbors. I thank God for friends. I thank God for people that God sent to stand with us in that season. So what would have taken us a long time to raise money for the tests and to do everything that was required took only 2 weeks, because people came in. And then when we returned to that doctor, she was able to find out that which no other doctor had seen in like 5 years before that time. And so she pronounced the problem that was in my body. From that moment, everything began to turn around. So it was clear that in all these ruts, God was still involved. He was still opening doors. He was still touching people. He was still leading us somewhere. And so from that diagnosis, we moved from that hospital to another and to another. And our surgery was done, and I started my journey of recovery. So the point I'm trying to say here is that when it looks like all is silent, you can begin to think that God is no longer there, that God is not working. But imagine God is working behind the scenes. He is the one directing the little paths that you seem to think, take this route, take this decision. It is not yourself. It is God who is directing you. He is involved. And sometimes God allows situations to happen because there is something that He is teaching you. So I learned that powerful lesson. And I want to show you another lesson that I also learned. Lesson number 2. Please stay on. Lesson number 2, which I learned, which is equally powerful, is that God's plan is higher than yours. God has a plan for me. God has a plan for you. God has a plan for everyone. But imagine His plan. It is much higher than your own plan. There is a verse that says that God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts. But the one that I'm thinking about right now is the one in Jeremiah 29:11, which says, my thoughts are for good, to give you a future and an expected end. That is the one that stuck in me. I had a planned out life, an MBA, a PhD, a career trajectory. I was moving from a very rich background in my career, and I had taken myself back to school so that I can climb higher the ladder. Imagine where I got stuck. So sometimes God can interrupt your plans to introduce his purpose. That's what I learned. What I am doing right now is not where I was headed, but what I am doing is more enriching, is more purposeful than what I imagined I would have ended up in that time. So I learned, not in an easy way, but God has a plan. And this plan for you and me is much better. It is higher than your plan. And he can interrupt your plan that seems so well put together so that he can introduce his purpose. The lesson number 3, which I learned, is that your condition is not your identity. For me, I was sick, I was weak, I was dependent on people. Imagine for 1 year, my sister abandoned everything that she was doing and she came to live with me, to take care of me. Because I used to be bathed, I used to be dressed, I used to be fed for some time. And then later on, I had to be helped to move from place to place. When I was using the wheelchair, I had to be lifted from bed, placed on the wheelchair, and wheeled around. My sister stuck with me for 1 year. She left everything that she had to do, and God bless her wherever she is. So I was dependent. That is the point I'm trying to bring home. I was dependent at that time. My condition was that I could not help myself until I was helped. I couldn't do anything for myself. Yes, I could talk. I could chat with people when they come to see me. But unless I was picked from that wheelchair, I couldn't get myself out of it. I had to be helped to go to the toilet. I had to be bathed, everything. That was my state at that time. I am no longer there. It was a season and it is over. So your condition is not your identity. Maybe you are not sick. Maybe you are failed in some projects. You should not be labeled a failure because you have failed this time. Because tomorrow success is waiting for you. Maybe there's something that has happened or is happening right now. Do not be deceived that that is your permanent situation. That is your identity. It is not. This is a season that has come and is going to pass. You are going to talk about it as a memory that was and is no longer there. Right now, I talk about the sickness that almost took me out of this life. I talk about the lessons that I learned because I'm no longer there, but I'm wiser and I have stepped into the purpose for which God was preparing me for. So your condition does not define you. Your condition is not your identity. Any place, any phase of life that you find yourself in, do not think, do not accept, do not agree with the situation. Don't agree that that is your final place. It is not your permanent identity. You are moving out of there to give God glory. The lesson number 4 that I learned is that delay is God's classroom. 7 years is too long. For me, it was too long, too slow, and too painful. But I didn't know that I was in God's training. Delay is the place where God builds your endurance. He builds your depth. He is working. It looks like it is demonic. You are stuck somewhere in a rut that you can't get yourself out of it. But sometimes God is in it. God may not have orchestrated it, but when it happens to you, he is in it. And he takes advantage of that situation that should have been delay, taking you down. He turns it around and he builds it, he enriches it. So in your delay, instead of crying, Instead of complaining, look deeper and see what is God doing in this season that looks like delay from the onset. So God does not punish us. He causes everything in our lives to work together for our good. That delay is working together for your good. So look inside and find out what is God doing, because this is a classroom. Out of it, you will garner skills that are useful for you in the next season. So trust the process. God is in charge. Lesson number 5 is that rock bottom is not the end of your story. This was the biggest lesson for me. I tell you, during the period that I was looking like I was exiting this life, there are many people that even spoke about it. There are people that said to me and said to others that this is our end. Let me not even go there. But I want to tell you that what people think is finishing you, or even what you may think is finishing you, is your starting, is a new story that is being written. So rock bottom is not your end. It looked like it was the end for me. Many people started preparing for burial. Let me say that, because that is the truth. Even when after I recovered, there are people that confessed it to me. They told me we could come there, encourage you, pray with you, but when we return, we would just say, oh God, help that lady, because we feared what we saw. So whatever your situation, whatever the condition, it could look like it has come to finish you. But if you don't give up, if you keep holding on to hope, if you build your faith, that moment, it will not end there. God is not so unfair. What looks like it is finishing you, it is working for your good. So the struggle was real, the pain was real. I lost many things, true, but I gained a lot more. I came back with a lot of strength. I came back with a new start. There was a new me that was reborn. Let me take you to the next one and you will know what I mean. Lesson number 6 is a game changer. This is it. The fire of affliction reveals assignments. I'll say that again. The fire of affliction that you go through, it reveals assignments. I say that was a game changer for me. 7 years, yes, of rock bottom. But finally, when God turned around the agenda of the enemy to kill me, he restored me. He gave me back life. But that was not the end. Something shifted in me. In the year 2022, towards the end of the year 2022, I was still on wheelchair. But psychologically, emotionally, I had been healed. And there was a witness in my spirit that I was going to live and not die and give glory to God by testifying of his great acts. Now that sent me to write my first book. Imagine, Revelation of Healing. Tenets of Healing was my first book. I wrote it when I was on wheelchair. I would be wheeled to the shed outside my house and I would ask for my laptop. I would sit there and there would be like a download. I would just write and write and write and write. That was my first book. I thought it was the only book. After I did that one, other ideas came. I did a second book, The Powerhouse. And I did a third one, Activating Angels on Your Behalf. And there are many others on the pipeline. Where was this author all these years of my life? That author was hidden in me. But the fire of affliction revealed the author, refined the author, and introduced that author to the world. That was God doing that. Years later, down the line, when I began to walk, when I resumed my normal life, I stepped into ministry. Where was this ministry? Eden. but the fire of affliction, it revealed it. Yes, whatever you are going through, that fire that seems like it is burning you, that seems like it has come to finish you, on a mission to bury you, it is going to reveal the assignment of God. The season that I thought was sent to bury me produced an author and a minister of the word of God. Don't despise. Don't be deceived. Don't agree with the enemy that you are not good for anything, that your end has come. The fire of affliction is a mission of God in disguise. It is going to reveal out of you the vessel that God has ordained for your generation. Lesson number 7. Nothing is wasted in God's hands. I mean that whatever you put in the hands of God, He can rebuild it. Your life may seem like it is good for nothing. You may have hit rock bottom like I did. But if you put your life in the hands of God, He can rebuild it. Rebuilding carries the idea that something existed and it has either been damaged or destroyed. But if you put it in the hands of God, He is able to bring it together. He is able to rebuild it. He is able to reshape it. He is able to get something good out of it. The Lord is a rebuilder. The Lord is a restorer. Nothing is wasted in His hands. For me, the 7 years were not wasted. Every tear that I shed, every pain that I endured, everything that looked like delay, all those moments that seemed like they were counting for nothing, eventually they counted for something. Because God does not waste seasons. God does not waste our moments. In your life, don't quit yet. Don't quit yet. There is a voice that will be speaking to you when you are at your very lowest. That voice is not of God. God always speaks life. God always speaks progress. There is light at the end of the tunnel when you are with God. But anything that is contrary, any voice that speaks to you in the contrary, it is of the enemy. Reject it. Don't come into agreement with it. Because when you agree with it, what you agree is what you will see. So just carry this belief, carry this faith that nothing that is wasted in God's hands. I believe that every lesson that I went through, a lesson for each year that I went through, that I was in the rut, God has compensated me fully for it. And what I have not seen yet, I am confident that I am going to see. If this message has encouraged you, please share it with somebody. Nobody needs to stay contempt. Nobody needs to stay defeated. Nobody needs to stay hopeless when there is hope in God. God is in the business of restoring lives. God is in the business of restoring destinies. Whatever the enemy has stolen, robbed, destroyed, there is a chance of restoration with God. Press the subscribe button if you haven't followed me yet, so that together we can unravel what God can do in our lives, the possibilities that exist for us in the Lord. Our lives are not yet over until God says it is the end. Shalom. The Lord bless you.